friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned to the MC Lars Podcast. It is Monday, March 9th. I know a lot of you are feeling the effects of daylight savings, unless you happen to live in Arizona, who have to be nonconformists and not change daylight savings, which makes touring confusing because sometimes they're California time, sometimes they're mountain time. Shout out to Arizona, though, because they do things their own way. It is episode 80. This week, I'm talking to Aubrey Turner of the Doubleclicks. Last week, I talked to her sibling, Laser. And this week, I talked to Aubrey. So Laser, as many of you heard from last week's episode, kind of writes a lot of the lyrics, does a lot of the marketing, and Aubrey does a lot of the music and composition and arrangement. And we're going to end this week with a song called We're All Gonna Die that both of them talked about randomly about how they work remotely. And it's a great episode. So this is my episode with Aubrey Turner. We're going to kick things off with Dan in Kentucky as the MC Lars Patreon Larson of the week. Talking about how he discovered me through Weird Al. Check it out.
So my dad and I actually found you together because we were big fans of Weird Al, and we were exploring different projects he had worked on. And we found the music video for True Player for Real. And after I watched that, I started exploring your catalog more and more. And I just found all sorts of stuff I liked in it. And I'd never really been too big into hip hop or anything like that. But exploring your catalog has really expanded my musical horizons. And it all started with a simple sock puppet music video and Weird Al on a phone.
Thanks, Dan. That's awesome. I appreciate that. And shout out to your father. So a lot of people have been worried about the coronavirus. And I wanted to say it was unfortunate to see that South by Southwest is canceled. I was doing a show that weekend in Palo Alto, the weekend of March 20th, and the headliner, they couldn't play because they were worried about traveling because of Corona. It was like a college jazz band, and there was 20 of them, and so they decided not to travel. So the show got changed up, and it's being rescheduled. So I'm feeling the effects of this too. I hope all of you are washing your hands. I hope you're not freaking out too much, but I hope you're all being safe. But, you know, it's scary. Like, rest in peace to the people who have passed away by it. It's intense. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that the Palo Alto show is being rescheduled. Those of you who were wanting to go there. I'll be back in the Bay, of course, doing more shows soon for sure. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that little update. Patreon, speaking of Patreon, I'm doing the Marvel songs. The Guardians of the Galaxy song is coming this month, and the Guardians of the Galaxy song part 2 is coming this month. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that flavor. This week's episode is brought to you by the following Patreon Larson. Shout out to the new ones, Josh, Jennifer, and Emma. Thank you for signing up. Shout out to the old ones, Alex, Seth, and Alex, aka Super Hobbit. I appreciate y'all very much. And it's very fun making these Marvel songs, so stay tuned. Thank you all for your loyalty and support. If and when you sign up, you get a number, a secret phone number that you can call in. And if you share a memory, an MC Lars memory like Dan in Kentucky did, guess what? I'll send you a free t-shirt. Enjoy daylight savings and enjoy this amazing interview with the wonderful, talented musician, Aubrey Turner of the Doubleclicks. Chill! I am here with Aubrey Turner of the Doubleclicks.
Thank you so much for having me.
We've been on tour.
We have been on tour. It's been so much fun. We were really looking forward to doing this for a long time, and then we came and it was better than we ever imagined.
And you and your sibling Laser have been so helpful. You've brought a lot of fans.
Aww.
And it's been different because, like, last night we had a night off. We were playing Pac-Man at the video game bar.
Yeah, 4-person Pac-Man. I love that one.
That was tight. And you were saying how you don't tour with a lot of rappers.
It's true. I think maybe we have every once in a while, like we had Mega Ran guest on a show when we were in Phoenix, which was amazing. And we did a West Coast tour with Samus, which was amazing. But yeah, this is not we usually tour by ourselves or have like some ladies with guitars open for us, which is very fun. But this has been amazing. It has been really fun to introduce like some of our fans to what you do, which is amazing.
And I think that the reaction from fans who maybe haven't seen you before, who are like the nerdcore rap fans, they all love you both.
Oh, they've been so nice. You have the best fans, which is, you know, to be expected because you're the best.
That's sweet. We're fortunate. And I think it's fortunate that, thanks for saying that, that you get to a point where you do it long enough. You're like, I guess this is my life. Playing these songs. You know what I mean? I guess this is the thing.
I was just thinking that the other night. It's like, how is this happening? Like every once in a while I wake up and go like, oh wow, this is really, I get to go play these songs for people and like they show up just to hear us play. It's like, wow, okay. That's
what
amazing.
A privilege, right?
It really is.
I mean, I was thinking about that. And I was thinking about how like looking out at the audiences, it's like this stuff, it doesn't just happen. It takes, I use the word attrition a lot on this podcast. You go until, you don't think you can go any further, and then you go even further.
Yes.
And it's like, kind of like this metaphorical quest.
We are on the hero's journey.
We're on the hero's journey. But this tour, I mentioned that because it feels like it's been victorious in a lot of ways, you know?
Yes, for sure.
That's tight.
It was really fun watching you a couple nights ago when we were in Ann Arbor and how many people were reacting to your songs and just like have been with you for so long and they're so excited. It was really, really fun.
Thank you. Ann Arbor was great.
It really was.
It's a good nerd city.
Yeah, for sure.
You both do really well in a lot of markets, and some of your biggest markets, like Portland, Boston.
Yeah.
How do you reach your fans? I know that's a huge question, but you both have a huge like awareness in the nerd music community. How do you do it?
Great. This is a great question. What do I think? Okay, I'm excited for you to also ask that to Lasers so they can tell you because they're brilliant and they know what they're doing. We love, so we at the very beginning wanted to just put out as many songs as possible so people could find us on the internet. So we did like a song a week on YouTube when we first started the Doubleclicks, and then we were really lucky to be able to play around Portland, and we were playing with an open mic group of really supportive people that would come out to each other's shows. And then we were very lucky because Pollen Storm and Nerds and Music was coming through town, and we just sort of emailed them and they're like, this never works, but this was the perfect email. And Laser sent a really short email with like a YouTube link to a song, and we hadn't put out a CD yet at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. So that introduced us to a lot more Portland fans, which was wonderful. We got to play like 2 songs on that show, and they were there, I think, with Will Wheaton. So that was a big pull. And then, so after that, we kept making music and putting it out on YouTube, and eventually put together our own sort of tour. Oh, actually, we went on tour first with Marion Call.
That's tight.
Who's an amazing, she's like the whole DIY tour, gonna do a bunch of house concerts, and just, she used to tour for like 9 months out of the year.
Wow.
Which was intense.
Marion Call.
Yes. She's in Alaska. She's a singer-songwriter who also went to Stanford.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I think that name is familiar.
Yeah.
Where in Alaska is Marion Call?
She's in Juneau.
Wow, I've never been there.
It's beautiful.
Y'all been up there with her?
We did. We got an opportunity. Her and her partner Patrick Race, who's a comics person, they put together a comics camp every year, which is like a week in a beautiful park in Alaska, like where the mountains are, and like there's it's just gorgeous.
Wow.
So they put like sort of a one-day comics convention together, so all the locals can come see all these amazing independent comics artists, like a lot of webcomics people, which is incredible. And they also do a bunch of presentations around the schools for kids, like being like, you could be a comics artist. This is what I do.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So they're amazing. They do a lot of community stuff. And Pat, has a comic shop in Juneau I think it's called Alaska Robotics, because that's the name of his comic.
That's awesome.
We were really lucky to get to go up and do that with Marion. And there was also Seth Boyer, who's an amazing guitarist, songwriter, and Molly Lewis, the very own Molly Lewis.
Hey, so it was like a concert as well as this kind of educational summit.
It was very fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you all been international?
We just recently got to be international. We had been going up to, we were very lucky, like when we did our DIY tours, we like found some really nice, like what is it called? It's not the Silver Snail. There's a comic shop in Toronto that was very kind and let us do shows there, which was always really fun because everybody had to stand along the stacks.
Yeah.
And then last year we did a Kickstarter, and one of our goals was to be able to do a European tour, and we had been invited to the Worldcon, which is in Dublin, which is a science fiction, like mostly literary con. And then we got to play there, and then we did a 2-week tour around Germany and the Netherlands and Scotland and London, which was amazing.
That's amazing. And you were playing like a lot of non-conventional venues.
Yeah. So we did more house concerts. We played in nerdy shops that sold. Oh, we did definitely a game store in the Netherlands, and we did another nerdy shop in Berlin. It was really amazing. We found really nice people who already knew our songs, which is bizarre.
Right.
Like we've met Patreon backers like in another country on the other side of the ocean. It was just beautiful. They were the nicest people. We are so very, very privileged and blessed to have all those people.
And you're very good with your fans. I noticed that at the merch, because we both have fans who are kind of maybe, I don't know if this is fair, but let me know what you think. Fans that maybe don't go to a lot of concerts and don't go out a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like you want them to feel very accepted and loved and appreciated. And I can see both you and Laser do that.
We just really appreciate that they come out of their houses, because we feel very much like those people. Like, I don't go to a lot of shows, and when I do, it's making a huge effort because maybe I'm not as extroverted as a lot of people, and I'm going to feel really awkward. So we like to tell people, yes, please come talk to us. I swear we're going to be more awkward than you. We want to take a selfie with you. We're just so happy you came.
Right. Don't feel, that's the thing about punk rock, is that it's about removing the barrier between the audience and the stage, right?
Yes.
And so that's what I love about nerd music and all the different performers in this genre. I say that with quotes, because nerds are as good as creating as they are at consuming, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like what makes them special.
They are the best fans. When they like something, they really champion it, and they'll tell all their friends about it. And that's exactly how we find more people, is because we don't have a publicist who like does a bunch of marketing and tries to get us. It's just word of mouth from all these wonderful fans who are like, hey, you like this, you probably like the Doubleclicks. And it's just amazing. We can't believe how far that's gotten us. It's really amazing.
And how the world has changed, that like back in the day, the like literal gatekeepers of the record labels would decide who was famous.
Yeah, who would get on the radio and who would be on MTV. Yeah.
And then everyone else kind of if they were either Discord records or they were forgotten, really.
Absolutely.
It was like a really messed up, I don't know, kind of like the worst elements of capitalism, that like if it's profitable and big, it will exist. If not, these people will not be able to do it. That's changed in both of our times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just totally got destroyed with Napster, which was a good thing. And like it had the whole backlash of, well, now we're going to prosecute you for downloading stuff. And then they completely stopped developing new artists. They were just putting out back catalog on newer media, because they were trying to make surround sound a thing, like DV.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know. They were like two different formats of 5.1 surround, like sort of DVD, Blu-ray, audio, which nobody wanted because we could just put MP3s on our tiny little iPod and like listen to it all the time. That's what we wanted, was more access, not like higher quality, because you want to listen to music all the time. It makes you feel better.
Yeah, you don't want to be in a proprietary room with surrounded by speakers. I remember that. You're right. And I know ICP did a record there.
Oh, they did a really cool record, and they got it like remastered.
Yeah.
You
heard that?
I heard some of it because I was at a class with the guy who mixed it in surround. Like he mixed he mixed the Grateful Dead in surround. He was just a master of that. And so he was like, you have to listen to this ICP track. It's really cool. There's all this shit going on. Yeah. And so that was fun to listen to. He was very excited. He came to, because I went to college for production and engineering, and he came to do a presentation about surround sound. And that was really cool. But they did that. And but the thing was that there's a whole barrier to entry if you're going to do 5.1 surround. You have to buy the whole setup. Right. Which you have to really want to do that. And some people do that for like maybe playing games, but that's a whole different experience.
Well, you need a whole room in your house for it.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to tune your room, tune the speakers.
And not live in, if you live in an apartment, you're going to annoy like 5 times as many neighbors.
For real. What if I just get really nice headphones? I just want that.
That works. Yeah. That's actually like a really beautiful metaphor for like how the industry changed and how we're able to exist. So talking about chronology, so what would you say was the year 0 for the Doubleclicks?
Ooh, it might be 2009. I graduated college. I moved out to Portland. Laser was still in college. And they were taking some English classes, including a poetry class. And I was going to a bunch of open mics and playing with a bunch of beautiful singer-songwriter folk musicians in Portland, because everybody wanted a cellist, which was great. Yeah. I was very lucky. And so, but Laser was writing really great poems that also had, like, they were funny, they were sweet, they had some sarcasm in them. And I was like, what if you just put this, you're playing a guitar now, what if you just go ahead and put that to music? And we go to the open mic, you're gonna burn it down because everybody else is so serious and yours is funny. And they definitely connected to the audience, which was great. And then we kept going, and YouTube at that point was where you could get discovered.
Right. Thanks, YouTube.
Way back before the algorithm is making it impossible to do music. But
that's true. You're right. Yeah. YouTube has gotten weird.
Yeah, they're trying to launch their own music app.
Oh.
And I think it's going to be like a pay to play kind of thing, which sucks.
So you need a label. It's kind of like, what's it called? Like net neutrality, the idea that like certain people have access to certain content.
Right. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. The algorithm on YouTube now, I guess, is you have to put out a video that's over 15 minutes long, which is much different
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Every week, probably.
Exactly.
Wait. But then you have to become like a prog rock band.
Sure.
For them to then like recommend it to people, you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
Which is, so there's a lot of like DIY tutorials that get put out, and like it's great probably for ASMR people and for other things. That's what they are deciding to go with on YouTube right now. Because
then it has a higher retention of viewers who then will want to use it more like TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Aubrey, why Portland? What made you come to Portland?
Well, Laser was going to school in Portland.
Okay.
So I'd visited it. I was coming from Boston, which was snow and wind, and nobody make eye contact with you, and they were all really grumpy. So I was like, yeah, let's go with like the trees where it's green and it's not freezing cold. Right. And so I tried that out. At that time, Portland was pretty low cost. Like I could find a house with a bunch of housemates for under $400 a month, which is amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I think a lot of musicians were moving to Portland at that point just because they needed to keep their costs down, because being a musician doesn't immediately pay much money.
Right.
So Portland seemed like a good time. I was trying, I was, what was I, 21? So I was trying to like separate from my parents and get across the country from them.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
And your sibling was out there.
And my sibling was out there. So I already had somebody I knew. Our cousin was living there at the time too. And she is a super nerdy, awesome person. And so I crashed with her for a month and then she got pregnant. It was really funny. Yeah. With her husband. And then they moved to Denver for the sun because Portland's so rainy. But it was really fun. I had met other musicians while I was in school in Boston because I made a record right out of school with an amazing singer-songwriter who played upright bass named Ashley Caudill. And I went out to Denver and mixed her record. And then I met a bunch of other musicians from Portland. And I was like, okay, I'll move out to Portland. They're like, you're going to be in my band. I'm like, okay, sounds good. and so it came to pass.
And this is my life now.
And then Laser started writing songs and I got a job off of doing elder care because you can just do that with no experience off of Craigslist in Portland. And started making music, a lot of music with amazing people. And then that got very exhausting. And Laser was so good at marketing our shows. Like it blew my mind that they would make a Facebook event for our shows and people would actually come.
Right.
As opposed to other people who were like very good musicians and they just didn't know how to promote themselves. And I was like a little frustrating because I wasn't it would be like a 5-person band and we'd all show up and we'd be like, okay, why didn't you tell anybody we were going to be here?
Yeah, right. That's an amazing skill set to be able to write songs and promote it.
Yes.
That is, and it's interesting how like that's something you can learn, but it's also something about being fearless and being persistent and not being afraid of being annoying.
Yes.
Right? To annoy people
Absolutely.
about social media. But you both are very good at marketing and branding, and like you have the special merch packs with all your stuff, like the completionist packs.
Please take all of our music. We'll give you a deal. We love you, please.
It's interesting. Like, and I haven't talked to a lot of people who studied music for college. So you went to Berklee School of Music?
I did. They didn't teach you about self-promotion.
I was going to ask
very
that.
Sad. There was a music business major, and so people would take that, but I feel like it was becoming outdated while I was there.
Sure.
Because the music industry was changing so much. Like while I was at Berklee, they changed from mostly using 24-track tape machines to primarily using Pro Tools.
Really?
In the engineering major. Yeah.
So you're probably... I'm 37.
Yeah, I'm almost 35.
Okay. Oh, so you're 3 years younger than me.
Exactly.
So did you know a guy named David Cusick, who's a professor there? Maybe he left before your time.
I don't know.
He wrote a book called The Future of Music, which inspired... Download the Song is basically a rap version of that book.
Oh, nice.
And in 2005, I got in touch with him. And anyway... I thought that book was very prescient, but he wasn't there when you were there. And he's probably in the music industry side of things.
Yeah, if he was in the music business, I probably just didn't know him. Yeah. He would have still been at Berklee while I was there.
And then, Berklee. So Berklee School of Music. So I wanted to ask you this, and my podcast, I will say, this is something I'm trying to fix. I interview a lot of dudes. And, just because I know more.
There were a lot of dudes at Berklee when I went to Berklee.
Yeah. How did it feel being a woman producer, and how do men help break this sexism in music? That could be a whole 10 podcast.
Well, it was just I think when I was at Berklee, they were still figuring out the school's identity and how to get more women in, because most of you had to pick a primary instrument and most of the people played guitar. And Dream Theater had just come out of Berklee, and everybody was like, I'm going to be the next Dream Theater.
Oh, they were Berklee students?
Yeah. And so there was a lot. Is it that part of the population of the school? They've definitely rearranged it. They made vocalist major, a primary instrument, which is so smart because they have such amazing vocal teachers at Berklee. And then they really expanded their string department, which is why I was able to get in, because when I came, it was very easy to get into Berklee. I'm glad you're impressed if you think Berklee's a really cool school.
But you're also an amazing multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah.
You had to, I'm sure you had like a very rigorous audition.
No, it wasn't. It was fine. It was good.
Okay.
I had done a lot of cello in high school. I was really lucky to study with amazing teachers, and including somebody who did a lot of improv, taught us a lot about improv on strings, which wasn't the normal thing for classical music people. And so I was lucky enough to have that, but they were also really pushing to have more string players at Berklee at that time
because
it was a smaller department and it's gotten a lot bigger.
So let me ask you, is it more classical or jazz or pop or
It's so jazz.
It is.
So or it was so jazz.
Yeah. What about now?
That's a really good question. I think they're trying to do more and more rock. I know they've definitely opened up a lot more hip hop at Berklee as well. So that's really nice. Yeah.
That's cool. I had a music teacher who was very instrumental on me in high school. One of my first rap songs was for his class. He said, "Okay, make fun of Macbeth for your assignment." So I did
so good.
a Macbeth rap, call it Rap Beth.
Yes.
And I got a good grade. And I was like, "Oh, this literary rap, there's something to it."
Oh, it's so good.
And I was 16, and he's an amazing jazz pianist. Biff Smith is his name. Shout out to Biff Smith. But he would spend his summers teaching at Berklee.
Oh, cool.
Jazz piano for the summer students. And he would always talk about how great it was. And it's like he was a really important person in my life.
That's so rad.
And I wonder if you had some teachers that really reached you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had my cello teacher, especially, he was Eugene Friesen. There we go. Eugene Friesen. He played with the David Winter consort, which is like a very jazzy, like has everybody in it. And the cellist has always been a really big deal in that arrangement. But he introduced me to a bunch of different styles of music. He definitely made it like, guess what? You're just going to play cello as you. You don't have to be anybody else, which is great. And I took a lot of his classes. I remember one day in improv for strings, he's like, "All right, now you go." And then I did it, and I did like all these crazy rhythms. He was trying to teach us how to think of them on the staff. So like being able to like visualize the notes as you're playing them. And I didn't do that, but I did play something really cool. And then he's like, "That was great. You have no idea what you just did, do you?" I was like, "No, I don't." I don't know what that was, but it was fun. It sounded cool.
So he gave you a context for a different way to think, and then you kind of broke the rules.
He was giving me the context of, guess what? You can't really compare yourself to other people.
Right.
Especially at Berklee, because there's so many talented people.
I'm
sure. It's really easy, because some of the professors are not as encouraging as others. I'm sure they've changed the people, and it's all turned over, and everybody's really nice now. But like your teacher who taught is probably like, I love the teachers who are so enthusiastic about sharing their skills instead of being like, "All right, you have to play it exactly like this, and there are wrong notes and you shouldn't play those." And it's like really disappointing at a time when you need a lot of encouragement when you're first starting out, because it's very easy to give up and get disappointed and like have too many critics in your head about music.
Well, and there's this, I remember seeing an article that like, to make the salary that someone who works at Spotify makes, you have to stream like 100 million songs a month or something like that. Something like that. It might be hyperbolic, but like,
it's it's such a small amount of money
for
all
plays.
The streams. Yeah.
The people who build the technology and the apps and the way we consume content are the real people who make the money, which some could argue that the engineers are the ones they're creative in a separate way. But to be a musician and make a living or make any money it's very easy to be discouraged. And it's very easy to like want to do something else.
Oh, absolutely.
And having teachers who are like, "No, like this is special. You love it. This means more than anything."
Yes.
Did you ever see the movie Whiplash? Have you heard of that movie?
I have heard of that movie.
So there's a drum teacher who's kind of like really procrustean and like you could say abusive to this kid who wants to be a drummer.
Yeah.
And I think it's at NYU.
Yeah.
But he talks about how there's an interesting thing that he talks about to the kid, like, okay, do you have music in your family? Are your parents musicians? And when he says that they're not, he's like, oh, well, then it's not in you. And it made me think about that and think about how, some people have different interests in their parents, but you were telling me your dad is a producer.
Oh yeah. Our dad's a producer and a guitar player. My mom plays the piano and the bass, and they both sing. They were actually in a band touring when I was born. Like for the first 6 months of my life, I was in the tour van with them. Dad went to North Texas for music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In Denton?
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, they were in Denton, where apparently at the time, there were drive-through margarita bars. And the way they made that safe is they would give the driver a straw for their margarita so that you wouldn't take your eyes off the road. And it was like, oh my goodness. But that was a time before, of course, a lot of they would hire actual bands to play in bars for like 5 hours a night because they weren't doing as much recorded music.
Right.
So they did so many honky tonks in Texas.
And they really got their skills like the Beatles.
Yeah, they definitely, he loved the Beatles. He loves Led Zeppelin. Yeah, we grew up listening to the Beatles, Laser and I.
So music has always been prominent in your family.
Absolutely. Yeah. We had a recording studio in our house. So it just felt like something you could do.
So you grew up, like when we were setting up the podcast, you helped me set up the mics, which I appreciate.
I plugged in the cables and the mics. It does feel like I got a degree in cables because I feel like most of my, you had to do classes, but then you also did recording sessions and you would assist on everybody else's sessions, which was really fun.
Yeah.
And it was just mostly wrapping cables, putting cables away. I was on the tech crew, so we did all the soldering and all the studios.
So you know a lot about the technical side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can.
You do more than most people.
Sure.
Aubrey, how many instruments do you play?
I mostly play cello. Like my cello teacher, Eugene Friesen, he's like, yeah, all my friends are learning all these other instruments, which means I'm just getting better at cello than them. It was very funny. I also was in school with another cellist who was coming up named Rashad Eggleston, who's
I know him
ridiculous.
He grew up with me in Big Sur.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he played he would play shows with my friend Nico Joris at our school. And so I knew that guy growing up. He's a year older than me.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Was he a professor there? Or
No. He was a couple years ahead of me.
That's
he was
a small
student.
world.
And so I took a couple lessons from him because he was developing his super chopping technique.
Yeah.
And he was teaching me, he's like, you can play all the instruments on the cello. Like you can play the drums on the cello, you can play the vocal, and so he was amazing. He made Berklee change their policies on practice rooms because he would practice all night long. And then they would kick him out of the practice room because you had to return the key at a certain point. So they stopped locking the practice rooms after he graduated.
To encourage his talent.
So they were like, why are we punishing people for practicing?
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah. He was wild. He was so much fun. Yeah. So he was also a big cello influence. He's amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So you've been blessed with music around your life, but you've also made the conscious decision to be like, this is my career, this is who I am, and this is what I do. And I think that takes bravery, and I think that takes belief in yourself. And I think that in doing what you and I do, I don't know, it's like you can kind of inspire other people to do the same. And that's I think really, really important to find the special thing that might be non-traditional that's going to make you happy despite what people say. And it sounds like you were really encouraged, but also it sounds like you kind of knew this is what you wanted to do with your life.
I definitely knew, when Laser started writing songs, I was like, this is going to be cool. And if they want to keep doing it, I'm going to follow them as far as they want to take this.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just... because every time they wrote another song, it's like, this is even better than the last song you wrote.
Right.
This is amazing. I don't know how you do this. And then, and it was developing a new relationship with each other because now we weren't just bratty siblings, and they would trust me with their artistic vision to take it and produce it and make some arrangements, and which is of course, very delicate to take somebody else's artistic vision. And it just feels like a super privilege to be able to do that with them.
And to be honest, like Laser, maybe try this chord, or have you thought of this, right?
They're they're just like just taking it at whatever speed we want it. Like also owning like, it doesn't have to be perfect right now. We're just going to keep putting out what we can do in this moment and not, just go ahead and put it out and not have to make it perfect. That was definitely a big thing after being at Berklee, which felt like there was a lot of perfectionist professors. And then just being like, no, we can just sort of do this. Like, of course, anti-folk was a huge influence.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like Kimya Dawson and everybody in that crowd. Just like, we're just going to put it out. It still means a lot. Like, you can affect people with your words without having incredible production every single time.
And in fact, that when it's imperfect, it might be a little more real, a little more human.
Yeah, it might be even easier to access for some people.
So Laser writes the lyrics. Does Laser come with chord progressions too?
A lot of times they do.
Yeah.
Every once in a while they don't. And then I get to go a little crazy with it, which is fun.
That's tight.
They broke their elbow a couple of years ago. And so they like just sent me a track of them singing, and I programmed everything underneath it. And they were like, what just happened? I'm like, I just programmed everything you sang, because they also sang the drum breaks. They went ba-dum, chum, da-da, ba-da-ba-da. It was hilarious. And then I gave it back to them and they're like, I don't understand what you're doing. And then made them listen to the original. And they're like, oh, I sang that.
That's a special relationship.
It was fun.
That you can decipher what they said. And
I have a really good time doing it. It was very fun. Yeah.
So Aubrey, y'all are on YouTube and Spotify. What are some great ways the listeners of this podcast can support you both, and both social media, financially, anyway? I want you to plug everything.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have a podcast that we haven't been doing while we're on tour, but we try to do it every week, where it's called You Should Write a Song About That. And we have a conversation with each other, because now we don't live in the same city. Like, they moved to LA and they're doing a lot of really cool stuff. They'll probably tell you about it. So we call each other to catch up, and then we write a song about whatever we were talking about. So every episode has a song. That's a really fun way to keep up with us. You can follow us on Instagram. We're everywhere at the Doubleclicks. We're thedoubleclicks.com. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We have a really fun group of people in our Facebook group called Fans of the Doubleclicks, where everybody posts like pictures of hanging out with cats at parties, or Dimetrodons or whatever they find.
Yeah.
It is very fun. A lot of cat pictures. It's very good. Or we are also on Patreon, which helps us do our podcast and all of our other producing music stuff we got to do. For some of our Patreon patrons, we got to call them on the phone and sing them a motivational song while we were on tour, which was really fun.
Oh,
Somebody was writing a book. A lot of people were cleaning their house. It was really good times.
You're both like these spirits of encouragement and goodness and good stuff, and that's tight.
We get it right back. It's really nice. We find the more we are honest about, like, this is really hard, but we also want to be hopeful and practice hope. And people tell us that it really helps them, and that makes us feel great, which makes us want to do more of it. It's really amazing.
It's like as an engineer, feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
To use a metaphor. And you're on Twitter, Doubleclicks on Twitter, but you have your own Twitter, right?
Oh, sure. I'm Aubrey Cello on Twitter.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this tour.
Thank you so much for bringing us on this tour. Thanks for letting us be on your podcast. It was really fun.
It's been awesome, and I feel like we're friends now.
Yay.
That's what's up.
That's what's up.
Thanks, Aubrey.
Thank you, Lars.
I'd never been good at roller skating, so I had decided not to go. But lately I don't care what I am bad at. I challenged what I thought I know. Turns out I'm still bad at roller skating, but I've got no regrets. I learned something, I left my house. Consequences haven't stopped me yet. There's no right answer. Stop taking advice. Do whatever you want to. We're all gonna die. There are solvable problems. Everything has a price. Dance like nobody's watching. We're all gonna die. I can't climb and I can't ride, but maybe I could if I tried. I can't fix the broken systems, but it's still worth it to resist them. Life comes at you lightning fast. Any day could be your last, but there's no good in fear or worry if it doesn't make you act. I don't know what matters, and I don't know why. I'm just making choices. We're all gonna die. C'est la vie, carpe diem. YOLO DIY. Your mileage may vary. We're all gonna die. I've erased all the rules in my internal hard disk. I think my new medication may throw off my sense of risk. Actions can change you to outgoing from shy. Nothing is permanent. We're all gonna die. Can't is a tough word. It is sometimes a lie. Do things if you want to, 'cause we're all gonna die. But it's worth it to try. I don't want you to die.
That was, of course, We're All Gonna Die by the Doubleclicks from their brand new album, The Book Was Better. Check it out, pick it up, support them. Great siblings, great musicians, and I hope to work with them again. It was awesome doing this little segment on them on the MC Lars Podcast. Yo, next week, we got childhood friend, Zach Vetter. Zach and I went to high school together. We used to make videos together. He would help me with the production for my radio show in high school. He was like the first official MC Lars archivist. He's an interesting dude. He still lives in Carmel Valley, which is where I spent my life from middle school, high school onward. So my formative years, even though I rep Oakland, Carmel Valley is where I am from. Zach Vetter's a great dude. So check out that week. I was going to do that podcast a few weeks ago. Things got jumbled up. You know how it goes. But Zach Vetter's next week. It's a great interview. We did it over the holidays. So I hope y'all doing well. Thank you, Aubrey, again for being on the podcast. And I'll see y'all soon. Peace. It's your boy, MC Lars, saying, keep it joyful.